What's the address?
A long walk for you. Lower East Side. Where you gonna be?
Brooklyn. But it's really hard to learn the whole night. Is it
Yeah.
necessary?
Is it necessary?
They're overdoing it.
No, I'll tell you like this. If you're able to learn the whole night, it's an amazing thing.
Okay.
I'm saying also you have to know you're a young married man. You have to know if your wife is comfortable when you're not home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If your wife's not comfortable, then you shouldn't do it.
Well, that's good.
Saying she's not comfortable being alone. You know, it depends where you're gonna be. You're gonna be with family, you're gonna be
But I'm thinking my own house and my family. So.
oh, so it's not like she's gonna be alone in the house.
No. Yeah.
So if she's not comfortable, then don't do it. But then if you don't do it at night, then you make sure. Good morning.
The Zoom is on.
The Zoom is on. We're gonna send it. You send it to everybody. We're gonna yes, you'll send to everybody.
How are you?
How are you?
How you doing?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Yaron Dahan.
Oh, what? Guadalupe?
Yes.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
Hey,
By
live.
the way, we're gonna send on the group a picture. So I'm here with you.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I brought an invitation for you. I sent everybody else and everyone's invitation in the mail.
Is that
So
the rabbi?
We're gonna do.
You send me the text and I say
Yes, you said you're coming.
The rabbi said they were
thank you,
doing.
Rabbi. Thank you.
The
Thank
rabbi
you.
told me they were doing this to you in Guadalupe. You're gonna fly us down to Guadalupe on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. We have
Rabbi,
to see the guys on the we gotta get Mike on.
Mike Dahan.
Mike Dahan. We gotta get Mike Dahan on. Okay.
Rabbi Mazal Tov.
Thank-
When is gonna be the discussion?
June 2nd.
Oh, very soon.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. 3 weeks. Less than 3 weeks.
Try-
They got a nice bracha. Yaron, we need a nice bracha.
Maisonette?
Yeah, hold in your
You
right
see,
hand.
this
Hold
is a
in your-
mix. This is a mix. Baruch atah Eloheinu. Maisonette.
Mate, now you can't talk until you swallow, right? Right, yeah, right, Morris. Say bracha. Someone was asking me about staying up the whole night of Shavuot. A young married man asking me the question. A man like Morris asked me the question. Like Yaron. Yaron's a young, Morris a young man. Yeah, he's also one. Yeah. So I told him the first question is if his wife would be comfortable if he would leave the house for the night, right? So the point is it's now if a person you see if a person does not stay up the whole night, if they stay up the whole night, that's great. See, if you don't stay up the whole night, then you should ask yourself, how am I using the time during the day of Shavuot? How much time am I going to be spending during Shavuot learning? You see, I believe when you stay up the whole night, there's a program, there's a structure. You know, you can get 4 hours in, 4.5 hours, and 5 hours of learning. Person says, Rabbi, I'll sleep at night, I'll learn in the afternoon. Now, are people going to learn 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon? No, it doesn't happen that way. Of course, if a person doesn't stay up the whole night and he learns 2 hours in the afternoon, it's better than not learning at all in the afternoon. You see what I'm saying? So there's something great about learning at night. You're going to get much more. At the end of the day, you'll learn much more if you're able to stay up at night and learn at night.
And you have to study day
By day and by night.
By night. The study of the day, you can catch it up at night, but that you cannot say the time that I was studying at night, I would catch it up in the day and catch it up. Say in the morning you are bored, so instead of studying 1 hour today and miss the day,
you make it up at night. There is such a thing. If a person has a set time to learn in the morning, if he misses the morning, make it up at night.
but at night you cannot.
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
It's good, but it's
Good question. But practically speaking, people who stay up the whole night will learn more than people who say I'm going to learn in the afternoon. It's obviously a beautiful thing if you can stay up the whole night and if it won't cause any shalom bayit problem. What? Morning, Sammy. Look what's here. Okay, we are on Memam Aleph. We are on 48. If we want everybody to turn to 48, Morris, you sure you sent to the group, right?
Yeah.
Because the group did not. Oh, here we go. We got a winner. Okay. Yosef Hamon is on. The last thing we learned yesterday, Tony Yosef, was the halacha that you first give your animals to eat.
Morning, Rabbi.
Morning. Then you eat yourself. Right? Well, Mem and Aleph, 48. We first give your animals to eat before you eat yourselves. And I see that the Rambam writes The Rambam says you give food to your animals, and if someone has a servant, they give them first. The Rambam says before you eat. The Rambam says it says in the pasuk Ke'ene avodim el yad adonehem, like the servants are looking to the hand of their master. Ke'ene shivcha el yad gevirta, like the maidservant is looking to her female boss. So too, we look towards Hashem, and so too, that's the source of serving, of giving food to the servant, to your animal before you eat yourself. You give to the animal.
Any type of fish.
That's a good question. What type of pets? What pets? What type of animals are we referring to? In the Torah itself. Now, what's interesting is the Rambam's source is different than the Gemara, because the Gemara says that the source to give your animals first is because it says, "V'nasati esev b'sadcha levemtecha." Hashem says, "I'm going to give to your animals, then v'achalta v'savata. Then you shall eat and shall drink. You shall eat and you'll be satiated." That's the source that the Torah gives.
Sorry.
Yes.
Give it to the animal. What God forbid? The animal themselves eat the animal.
No one's giving poison, Sammy. They're all.
No, chas v'shalom.
The point is the Torah has the Torah has a certain sensitivity that you have to give to the animal. We're concerned for the welfare of the animal. Now the question is, why are we concerned for the welfare of the animal? Is it because of the animal we're concerned for, or is it because the Torah wants to teach you midot, tovot, and therefore that's why you need to be a giving person?
I went to Privati. Pretty sure that after he made the hamotzi, he gave his sticky, even to bite, mistaken of the cow. I'm serious. To give, right? Is that true? Supposed to give
the animals first. Now,
before you even take a bite of your own cow, you give a bite.
But we better to give before the bracha.
I don't know.
I presume he gave it unless he forgot.
No.
You had. By the way, we have in the Gemara. One said we have in the Gemara that the Gemara said.
No, but we do interruption. We make a better then you do sheyachayano, then you.
Yeah, but that's not an interruption. I'm saying here, this is something you could have done before. We do have in the Gemara.
No, I gave the
Gemara says the Gemara says that if a guy says a bracha, Hamotzi lechem min aretz, and after saying once he remembers he did not give to the animals, so then the Gemara and he went ahead and he said give to the animals. It's not called an interruption to repeat the bracha, but now the question is whether he should have done that or not. That's a good question. If a guy catches himself after the fact, he said the bracha. Now, if he's going to go ahead and give to the animal, since he has the responsibility to give to the animal, it might not be considered at that point when he after the fact that he already said the bracha. It could be the right thing for him to do at that point is to give to the animal and then take a bite, in order not to violate the law that you should eat first. The animal should eat before you. But really, ideally, like everybody says, first you're supposed to go ahead and give to the animal, then you say the bracha.
I like to ask another question. Ask the question. Hey, what do you have to? What if it's really good quality meat? Like that's still give it to the animal.
So give some other food to the animal. You have to give food to the animal.
You're just saying in general.
In general, to feed the animal before you go ahead and you eat. That's the responsibility that you have. What are your own? What? Right, they take care of animals, but where do we see that the animals come before the human being regarding eating? Now, and I want to say something. What I was just mentioning before. First, we want to welcome Ben back, and of course, for Yosef, we have a very special guest from Guadalupe. Yaron Dahan is here from Guadalupe.
You got half of one.
What? Let me see.
Wants to see. Wants to see the man.
I'm not on Zoom today.
Yeah, what was going on?
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, habibi.
I just came for the class.
What
Good morning. Good morning.
Go see. When you gonna start to grow your beard? Your beard is,
I don't
beard
know.
is touching the floor.
I know.
Look like
I shaved
Antiochus.
it last night. Last night I shaved it.
Shaved
Look,
last
look at
night.
it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good morning. Okay,
Never seen a beard that long. Look at his beard. You gotta see this.
okay. But Ben asked a
You could
very
have
good
bugs in there, you
question. I
wouldn't
think it was
even know.
Ben's question. Exactly which animals does it refer to that you have to go ahead and give the animal first? I mean, does it go also to fish or not? It's a good question. The language of the Rambam is habehemot. Habehemot. So the language of the Rambam behemot doesn't sound like fish to me, right? It says animals, but again, that has to be researched. You know what I'm saying, Ben? Because the case of the Torah, animals that eat grass, animals that eat that type of animal or animals. The Rambam mentions animals. Okay. The fish, I don't believe which should be in part of that. You know what I'm saying? Now, we're now at the two dots, about 8 lines from the top. Amar Rava bar Shmuel. And this is, and he's going to address the issue, but everybody was talking about hefsek. We got to remove the idea. We don't want to consider a delay. We don't want people talking after the hamotzi. So what do? And we said you're supposed to go ahead and dip the bread in salt, right? The Gemara says, Amar Rava bar Shmuel. Rava bar Shmuel says in the name of Rav Chia, Ein habotzeya rashai. Everyone have it? How many lines from the top are we? We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 lines from the top. Amar Rav bar Shmuel, Amar, you have it? Amar Rava, 2 dots, you see? 8 lines. Yaron, you have it?
Yeah, Amar Liu.
Amar Rava bar Shmuel, Mishum Rav Chia. About 8 lines from the top. He says, Eina Botseya Rashai. Okay. So he says, Eina Botseya Rashai Livsoa. He's not allowed to make hamotzi, recite the bracha hamotzi, and cut the bread. Ad sheyaviu melach. Until the salt is brought on the table. O liftan. The liftan is the relish. The liftan is the thing that you eat together with the bread to give it some flavor. Let's say cream cheese or some other thing that you eat together with the bread. Until ashiyaviu melech or liftan lifnei kol echad ve'echad. Until each person the group will have able to do the bread to fulfill the mitzvah of eating the bread, enjoying the bread with a good flavor, and that the bracha, because remember, the bracha is on the bread. You want to ensure that the bread that you say the bracha has a good taste. You said a bracha, it should be enjoyable. It's honorable that you made a bracha on something that's enjoyable, something that has taste. Not that you said a bracha on something that's bland, that has no enjoyment, no taste. So therefore, we want to make sure if you're saying the bracha, now when you say the bracha for all the members of your family, it's as if they said the bracha, right? Shomea ka'ona. So therefore, it's as if they said the bracha. So you want them also to make sure that they will go ahead and enjoy the food that that you said the hamotzi on. So therefore, make sure that everybody has salt in front of them. So then when you go ahead and you give them the bread, it seems like from here that wasn't the person who said hamotzi wasn't the man who dipped it into the salt for everybody. He said it broke hamotzi, and he passed the bread around. Each person dipped their bread into salt. So therefore, and also if you remember, in the old days, the people used to eat, everyone used to have like their own little table, their own little place where they would sit. Not everyone had these big tables like we have today. So he says, make sure you don't say that bracha and you don't cut the bread until everybody has everyone has the salt or the that they're going to eat together with the bread. Rava bar Shmuel iklala beiresh galuta. So that's a new halacha that we're finding out, that when you say a bracha, say it in a way that the bracha and the enjoyment of the food is that it's honorable for the bracha, that you enjoy what you're eating. that not you said a bracha and it's not enjoyable. Rava bar Shmuel, that you what you eat, the first thing that you're going to eat after the bracha will be something of enjoyable that you're enjoying. Not that you said a bracha and something has no taste, right? I said a bracha and it's bland, it has no taste. So then, okay, that's true. But here we're saying that you have the idea by bringing salt to the table. Everybody knows, we all know that salt will spice it up. Now, the Gemara continues. The Gemara says, Rava bar Shmuel iklala be Reish Galuta. Rava bar Shmuel came to the Reish Galuta. Reish Galuta is like the head of the Jewish community in Galut. Outside, that's why Reish, the head. Galuta is from Galut, the exile, outside of the land of Israel. He came to his house. They brought him bread to eat. They gave him a meal. It's a nice thing to do. You have a guest, you bring him some food. But Salahadiyah, and what did he do? And Rava bar Shmuel, who just said a moment ago that you cannot say Hamotzi until everybody has salt, he did not wait that everybody should have salt. He went ahead, but Salahadiyah, and he made the bracha Hamotzi. He ate right away. He didn't wait until they brought him the salt. But so now, once he did that, everybody observed it. Amrulay, Hodamam Ishmate, did you change your mind? You know that you said that you can't say the bracha Hamotzi until you have salt in front of you. And here we see that you said Hamotzi and you didn't have salt in front of you. Amalahu, less dain sarich b'shesh. This bread that you brought in front of me, bread that's made in this house is very tasty bread. It doesn't need salt, and therefore there's no necessary to go ahead and have salt. Some say because the bread was less fine flour, it was cleaned out. It wasn't made, like whole wheat bread, right? It has some of the dirt, the bran. It's not as clean as the white. That's why it's darker than non-whole wheat bread. So therefore, it was in the Gemara, when the Gemara talks about cleaner bread, it's not the whole wheat, and it tastes better. It's not as bland. It doesn't have those other parts that take away from the taste. So therefore, it was not necessary to go ahead and wait for the salt. Now, today's day and age, I believe it would come out the same thing. If you're eating bread today that has a nice taste, so according to this, you will not need the salt. And many people during the weekdays are not careful to dip their, you have a roll, a bagel, or this, whatever you're having. Most people, not everyone is careful to dip it in salt, right? Morris, does everyone have salt on the table during the weekdays? On Shabbat, everybody is careful, I think, to have salt, correct? On Shabbat and Yom Tov. Because Shabbat and Yom Tov, maybe they want to emphasize other reasons. So the question is, why is Shabbat and Yom Tov different? The Gemara does not make a distinction between Shabbat and Yom Tov than any day of the week.
So Rabbi, we keep salt, make sure that when we eat it,
Exactly. That's one reason. That's one reason the Gemara says. One reason. Yes.
so if I dip it in sauce or whatever, I like that taste, but can I dip it in sauce?
According to the Gemara, dipping in the sauce should also yes, that's what the Gemara, because the Gemara says until melach or liftan. According to this reason, the Gemara, it said it would be the same thing if you dip it into a sauce, and therefore you do. If you'll see, there are people, but you bring out a good point, a beautiful point. I see a lot of people that if they don't have salt on the table, they'll say hamotzi, they dip it into something else that's on the table. What's the point of them dipping into the other thing? The same idea, because you want to go ahead and it should taste good when you say the bracha.
You always need salt, Rabbi?
So that's the way
Even during the week?
So I'm saying, according to this Gemara, the Gemara does not make a distinction between during the week and Shabbat. But what's the point of the Gemara? It has to taste good. If the bread tastes good without the salt, according to this Gemara, you don't need salt. Switch shit regarding what? Salt? So I'll tell you like this. So based on our Gemara, and the Gemara clearly says, wait until the salt or the other dipping, like the relish. So the Gemara doesn't even give a preference to salt over a sauce. As long as you're going to make it taste that it's going to taste good, that's good enough for the Gemara.
Even no salt.
What do you say?
Even if you don't, nothing is good.
Like the case of the Gemara. Right. So based on this Gemara, it would seem like it's all dependent whether it's going to taste on the taste. But there's another concept, and therefore, because of this, there are many people that during the weekdays are not careful to dip it into salt. Because why? Because they feel the bread tastes good, so they need the salt. But okay, very good. Now on Shabbat, people focus on another reason. Why do we dip in salt? There's another reason. Your table should be like a mizbeach. On every karban, when they brought an offering, they brought with salt. So maybe perhaps people got into the habit to go ahead and dip into salt on Shabbat, because everyone washes on Shabbat. So it became common, and people wanted on Shabbat to elevate themselves to a higher level on Shabbat. They wanted to fill this idea of thinking about the fact that when you eat, it's as if you bring a korban. Your table should be a holy table. The speech at your table should be holy. If you bring it, it's like you're bringing a korban. It's like you're bringing an offering. So therefore, to remind yourself that your table is like a mizbeach, is like the altar. So they go ahead and they told you to put salt on the table. So therefore, that's specifically salt. So you remind yourself, acts a certain way, and you hear that, Ariel. So and therefore, it's as if you bring a korban. So technically, that should apply during the weekdays also. But because people don't always wash on bread during the weekdays, it never, I presume, it never became regular. People were common to do it because most people, not everybody, is into washing every day. Even though it does say to wash in the morning on bread. Bread in the morning is very healthy. Yes, Yosef Tzadik.
So I'm sorry, I got disconnected before, but like we were talking about, if you don't have a salt in front of you, you dip it in something else. And normally you dip it in something else salty, that there is a salt into it. Like a salad, you put the salt into it. So that's you dip it over there because you want to represent the melech haaretz. That's what it is. Not just dip it in something to make it flavorful.
Right. Okay, so I mean, ideally, if you could get something with salt, it's better because then you fulfill the other idea of the mizbeach, of the altar. But the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara just says either salt or relish, right? Now, what does it say in the Shulchan? Now, look what it said in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says, listen to the Shulchan Aruch, Yosef. What?
It can be a honey, like the Rosh Hashanah, we dip it in honey.
Right. So now look, the Shulchan Aruch says, Ben, thank you so much for joining in. We enjoy every day that you're here. The Shulchan Aruch says, do not break the bread until, and he says, until they go ahead and bring salt or relish or something else that you eat with the bread, not salt, in order to enhance the piece of bread. And if the bread was clean or it was spiced, if the bread was spiced, then he says you don't need to have salt. That's the Sephardi opinion. The Sephardi opinion of the Shulchan Aruch, he just follows the Gemara, which the Gemara says either have salt or have a relish. So he does not give preference to salt over a sauce, Yosef. He does not give salt. Technically, he would say, you want to dip it into the cream cheese or dip it into the honey. After you say Motzi, it's fine. That is the Sephardi opinion. Morning. However, the Ramah, Ashkenaz rabbi, he says, nevertheless, this is Simon Kuf Samech Zayin Sifhei, there's a mitzvah to bring on the table, on every table, salt. Why? Because your table is similar to the Mizbeach, your table is similar to the altar, and you're eating, the food is like a korban, and it says in the Torah, Al kol korbancha takriv melach. On all of your korbanot, you should bring salt, and therefore, and v'hu min haparoniyot. It protects from punishments.
So Rabbi, that has nothing to do with the bread. The salt on the table.
That's a good point. But it's
But
it's,
it's a mitzvah on its own to bring salt to the table.
it's true, but it could be they only did this when it was a real eating. When you eating bread, that's called a real meal. You tell Mike that you're here?
Yeah, I tell it.
Oh, he told. Okay.
Put a picture on the group, Rabbi.
Okay, very good. Beautiful. Now, no, it's all right. It's all right. He says, what else does he say? He says, Medrash says, we're gonna see, we'll see about this. Okay. When the Jewish people, okay, so let's and this soul protects from punishment. It says when the Jewish people go ahead and have salt on the table, it's a very big merit for the Jewish people. So let's continue in the Gemara. The Gemara says, the Gemara says the following: Amar Rava Bashmuel. Rava says in the name of Shmuel Mishum Rav Chia. You see, if you look at the end of the Tosfot, everyone see the Tosfot? Havi Melach Sarach Lavarech. Tosfot says Rav Menachem was very careful to bring salt on the table, like the Medrash says. What does the Medrash says? When the Jews wait for each other, and they go ahead and they have salt on the table, that protects them from punishment. Okay, back in the Gemara. Amar Rava bar Shmuel. Rava says in the name of Shmuel, Ein mi raglayim kolim ele b'yeshiva. When a person urinates, he goes to the bathroom. When he urinates, he doesn't do a full job. Why does he do a full job? Because he's afraid that when he uses the bathroom, it might go on him, and therefore, look at the Rashi. Rashi says when he gives out the urine, when he stands and he gives out urine, a lot of times before it ends, before he finishes urinating, he stops because he's afraid that nothing from the urine should fall onto his body, and because there's a halacha like this. The Torah says that if a person does not want to have a situation that people think that he's not able to have children, and if a person goes ahead and if a person goes to the bathroom and if any of the urine goes on his shoe or anything, he's supposed to clean it up. Now, obviously, you say you should clean it up because you should clean it up. But there's another reason why you should clean it up, because if he can't urinate with strength, it might be a sign that he's not capable of having children. And therefore, people might say these children are not his children. And therefore, the Gemara says, he says this point, that if a person goes ahead and he's, but if he goes if he sits down in the bathroom, there he's not afraid that some things are gonna, it's gonna go, it will go right in, it won't spread out too much, and he'll urinate a complete urination. So what is the point of this Gemara? The point of this Gemara is he wants to give a guy advice. If a person wants to make sure that he urinates, that he get all the urine out of his body, he should know that if he'll sit down, if he sits down, then it'll be easier for him to he won't stop before he finishes the urination. Now, Gemara continues.
What? How is that getting into the bread and everything? I don't understand that.
again, this is another statement. We're talking about this rabbi said many different statements. And this is another statement that this rabbi said. The rabbi just said this last statement of just another statement that he says. And the Gemara, and Rav Kahana, and Rav Kahana says, Afa tichuach, if a person urinates into a place that the ground is soft and the urine will be absorbed in the ground, then afila b'midah. So even when he's standing, all the urine will be, he's able to go ahead and do a full urination because he's not afraid that anything is going to fall, is going to come back onto him. The ileka of a tuchach, but if there's no dirt that's soft, yamod b'mokom gavoah, he should go ahead and stand in a higher place. V'yashtin l'mokom medron, and then he should urinate into a place that it goes on a slopey down. So therefore, the urine won't come back at him and spurts and come back onto his foot or onto his shoes or anything like that. For Rava bar Shmuel Mishmei Rav Chia, la'achar kol achilascha, after you finish eating, achol melach. He says it's a good idea that after you finish eating, you should have some salt. That's something that will be healthy for you. After you go ahead and you drink, whatever you drink, you drank wine, whatever you drink, it's healthy to go ahead and have water. After you finish drinking, drink water, say mayim v'iyat nizar. And then whatever you ate or whether you drank not have a negative effect on you. He's talking about the idea, the importance, being healthy. Being healthy is the way the Rambam says a person who's healthy serves Hashem better. Healthy, when a person's healthy, they're able to accomplish much more. And then a person who's not healthy. A person's healthy could study more, learn more, pray more, do everything. Do more chesed. And therefore, the rabbi feels the necessity to tell us about how to go ahead and live a healthy lifestyle. You should be healthy. The Torah also, you should watch yourself, protect your body. Therefore, he recommends that it's healthy to go ahead and have salt at the end have some salt at the end, and also drinking water. And I think today everybody will agree that drinking water is very, very healthy to have water. And the idea is the water cleans everything out, washes it down properly, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and the Gemara is saying salt has also this some benefit that it sounds like when you eat food, salad, for the salad, some salt will help take away any. Sometimes there's certain side effects of certain foods, and therefore if you have salt will power of the salt most probably will take care of that. There shouldn't be any side effects for whatever foods that you ate. Tanya Idach, we have a different brisa. Achal komacha. If a person ate any food below achal melach, but he did not eat any salt, or shata komashkin, or if you drank any liquid below shata mayim, you drank orange juice, you drank grape wine, but you didn't drink any water. B'yom yidag min reach hapeh. During the day, you should be concerned about having a bad breath because the water is like a mouthwash. The water serves as it will clean your breath, and it sounds like it also will have effect on the salt will also help. Probably, by the way, Morris, we forgot the plug. If you don't mind, you want to bring down the plug because it shows that the battery is low.
How low is it, Rabbi?
How low is it? You'll tell me. You'll tell me because I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose our Yosef at Tzaddik over here. You'll tell me how much. A lot of times they don't give so much time from the time that it's low to the time that it goes. You check it out.
I don't know what's the battery.
So it says that after also you should go ahead and and you should go ahead and make sure that maybe the salt also will take away any bad odor from. You have enough? Thank you very much, Morris. The salt will take away any bad odor that you have from your mouth also. It's most probably the strength of the salt will take away the bad odor. Now look what the Gemara says. Ubalayla, everybody listening? So it says Ubalayla yadag min askara. A person should be concerned if you don't have salt after you eat. If you don't have water, if you don't drink water, you should be concerned of askara. What's askara? It's the throat gets inflamed, and it could create some breathing problem. The students of Rabbi Akiva died from askara, with breathing problems, like COVID. COVID was also the breathing problem. Askara is also a breathing problem. But if you drink properly, that will help. Drink water, that will help. That people should not avoid not having this askara. Right. Maybe not laying. I don't know if you should do it laying down, but drinking the water in the proper way, that will prevent. After you eat, that'll prevent problems. And the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanan. The rabbis taught. The rabbis are very concerned that you should be healthy. If you float, you're eating with water. That means you eat and you drink a lot of water to wash it down, proper amount of water. So then, you won't have any stomach problem. You want to prevent stomach problems? You know how you prevent stomach problems? Drink a lot of water. That's what the Gemara says. Okay? We know stomach problems is a big problem. People suffer from stomach problems. And if people have stomach problems, you have issues with tefillin. Wearing tefillin, if you have to always run to the bathroom and other issues. So therefore, thank you so much. I don't have to. Should we do it over there? So yeah. So therefore, the Gemara says, no, we're going to do it over here because we have an issue picking up the thing over there sometime.
You got it?
It's the other. Usually we do the other one. Yeah, we're putting it in. Make sure that we don't lose Yosef and Tzaddik on the deal. Okay, thank you very much, Morris. So the Gemara said, Yaron, Yaron did. Okay, we're ready here, Yaron. Thank you very much. We're getting closer to you. Okay, so the Gemara said, if you go ahead and you if you go ahead and you do that, that will go ahead and protect you from stomach problems. You won't have any stomach problems if you drink a lot of water. And the Gemara says, V'kama, how much water you have to drink? Amar Rav Chizda. So Rav Chizda says, you need a keton lepat. Keton is like a jug of water. Now, how much was for a loaf of bread? Now, how much is that? It's not clear exactly how much water that is, but it sounds like a decent amount. Bottle, like you say, a little bottle of water. Now, what's the normal, size of a bottle? If they say over here, this comment, how much water that is? Let's see if okay. Keton, let's see what keton, the pot. What do they say a keton is?
1 liter.
Keton, the Gemara, now it says in the time of the Gemara, it was known exactly how much a keton is. We don't know how much, and it's not clear to us how much water this is referring to, but the language of the Gemara is that you're floating the food with water. Now, if you're floating it, that means there's a lot of water. You're drinking a lot of water, right? You float the water after you eat. So now the Gemara continues. Amar Rav Mari ba Amar Rav Yochanan. Harogel adoshim. Achat l'shloshim yom. If a person has lentils, like beans, eat the beans once every 30 days. You don't go 30 days without eating the beans, okay? 30 days, by the way, we know a significant amount of time. If a guy rents an apartment, you have to have up to 30 days to go ahead and after 30 days, you can't wait past 30 days. You have there's a 30-day, if you call a temporary ira up to 30 days. If you move into an apartment that you bought or a house, put up mezuzah right away. First night you're there, you have to put up the mezuzah right away. The moment you move in, you have to put up the mezuzah. But when you rent, it's called temporary. First 30 days is temporary. Can't wait past 30 days. After you have obligation, the moment 30 days is over, there'll be definitely have to, and then already it's considered more of a set apartment if you have to have the mezuzah on. So if you make sure that you don't go more than 30 days without having the beams, that means you make sure because every 30 days I got the beams in. That will prevent having this problem, this askara, because askara, which is a breathing issue, affects the throat, is brought on when you have a stomach issue, when you don't go to the bathroom properly.
Rabbi,
And this, the lentils help the digest. Askara is a sickness that affects the throat, and therefore, if you have the lentils, these beans, they keep the system down. You won't have any problem, and therefore you'll be able to not have this problem with your throat. Yes.
but also that
If you rent,
if you rent an apartment from Jew, or was living there before, you Yeah.
He needs to leave the mezuzahs. Right. If you're leaving an apartment, and a Jew is moving into the apartment, you who's leaving the apartment, another Jew is coming in. He's not supposed to take off the mezuzot. He's supposed to leave the mezuzot too, but he can ask him to pay for it. But he should, and also if you have a silver mezuzah case, you can take the silver mezuzah case, and I presume, double check if you very expensive mezuzah, switch it for a non-expensive mezuzah, leave mezuzah. You don't have to leave him your $150, $100 mezuzah. You have this big mezuzah that you put a kosher mezuzah, as long as you left them. But in Israel, it's interesting. In Israel, if you rent an apartment, you do not have 30 days. You have to put it right away in mezuzah. Yeah. The difference between America and Israel. America, you say if you rent an apartment, you have 30 days. Israel, we want you to be part of the land. Therefore, immediately, Yeshuva Aretz, you really got to get a mezuzah. Permanent, you're here to stay. We want it to be that you're part of your own. Exactly right. Not have 30.
Rabbi,
Yes.
what if you renting an apartment? You are the broker, and you know, okay, the people who you left the apartment, left the mezuzah, and you know that the people who's coming in, they are not Jewish. Can you remove the mezuzah?
Then you have to remove it because they're going to throw it out in the garbage. If it's not a Jew, if a previous tenant was Jewish, and then the new tenant that's moving in is not Jewish, you're supposed to remove the mezuzah. You don't leave the mezuzah for the non-Jewish person to have in the house, but they're not going to respect it. They're going to throw it out. They'll call a painter. They'll just go in the garbage. And also, if there's a concern, if it's not Jewish, if it's not a Jewish person moving in, you take down the mezuzah. Like Yaron said, the only time you leave the mezuzot if it's a Jewish person that's moving in.
to remove them and on that.
Rabbi, I have to leave. I will see you hopefully Sunday, if not Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be on Sunday, 10 o'clock. You have a Shabbat Shalom. Yaron wish you a Shabbat Shalom. What do you want to say, Yaron?
Say that if I rent an apartment from and didn't knew the halacha, I think you need to give like a tzedakah or something like that.
And again, I'm not sure what he should do. He should put it back. You know what I'm saying?
No, but let's say you have only one. Like it happened to me in Guadeloupe. I took an apartment.
Right.
And it was and you know every day that we can do that like that. I buy and we have mezuzah. He needed to this new house, so he didn't know the halacha. And when I moved like same day, and the rabbi said you need to give him tzedakah because you.
Okay, maybe whatever the rabbi said. Beautiful.
Something like that.
Very good. Maybe because that'll be a protection. Maybe by giving tzedakah, they'll protect the person who took off the mezuzah. He said to give tzedakah, give you what? I would think if he said to give tzedakah, well, probably that would serve as a protection. The person who took down the mezuzah.
I think that I didn't take the money. I just put in tzedakah.
Right. So, very good.
But
okay, or whatever the rabbi said. The rabbi knows what he's talking about. If you told him to do that. Very good. Now, the Gemara says, Amar Rav Mari. Rav Mari says, Amar Rav Yochanan. Okay, so the Gemara says, Haragil ba'adashim. If you have these beans like chickpeas,
Yeah.
every 30 days, it's helpful. It removes a certain sickness. It removes the sickness that has a problem. A guy has
Something about
it removes it from his house. But it's interesting the language of the Gemara that it removes it from his house. Why it doesn't say it from himself?
exactly.
I like that point. I was wondering the same thing. Why it says why it says right? Why it says bitoch beito?
Like if you feel better, your house is better. I don't know.
It could be if a person has stomach problems, it could affect the other members of the house too, as a result of his stomach problem. But see, here it says, askara comes from constipation by not being able to use the bathroom.
Right.
And by having the lentils, it's out the system and you're able to use the bathroom properly. The Gemara says, but don't have the lentils, the beans
Or if
every
you
day.
like it.
But don't have it every day. My time it gives you a bad smell for your breath. It's interesting. The Gemara is concerned with a bad smell. You have a bad breath. People are not going to appreciate you have a bad breath. You know, it's not nice. You have a bad breath. Another thing. If you have mustard once every 30 days, that's also very healthy. He's a big advocate of mustard. Now, certain things that are healthy in the time of the Gemara might not necessarily see when it comes to health. Certain things maybe the nature of the person might change, and certain things might not be the same when it comes to health. Some things maybe yes. The Gemara spoke about the importance of having a lot of water if you finish the meal, and a lot of water after you finish. So that seems, I think the doctors today will also agree it's very healthy. But I'm not sure about the mustard. But he says if you have mustard every month, it also will prevent sickness from the house. Of a koyom alo. But mustard every day is not good for the heart. Right. Mustard is sharp. From the kasha l'chush l'liba. It causes a weakness of the heart. I'm going to end with the last thing on a very positive note. Person has sardines. Sardines, you hear? It's very good for your intestines, for your stomach. Really? A lot of older people like sardines. Yeah. It's healthy for them. But small fish, sardines, marfrin, umarbin, umavrin, it helps also to become, it's like help a person wants to have children, help sardines. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says marfrin, umarbin, it's healthy. It says pirya v'rivya. It increases the stuff that the man gives into the woman. That's how some commentaries explain.
It's good for the man, not for the woman.
It's good for the man. If it's good for the man, it's good for the woman. That hopefully she'll become pregnant. Yeah. It'll help towards pregnancy. And I presume you'll most probably, if you'll ask some of the doctors today, they might say that there's some in the makeup of the sardines. It helps. You know, if you look, what does it say?
Maybe it's a fish that is, I don't know what's the sardine. But I guess she's doing something. It's alive that.
Because no, I would think we all know that fish. We always say we say on Rosh Hashanah you should eat fish. Eat fish is one of the simanim. And say we should increase like, and we say you should increase like fish. Fish are so fruitful that there's billions and billions and billions of fish. Right. There's so many fish. So I presume it's also symbolic of that. Hashem made the fish in such a way that there's so many fish. They're so fruitful. You know why they're fruitful and multiply so much, the fish? We all know. Because there's no ayin hara on fish. Why? Have a great Shabbat. Because the fish are covered. They're hidden from the eye. And when something is hidden from the eye, no ayin hara. So people have to be careful in life not to show off. Wow. And that's why That's why the bracha that Yaakov gave to Yosef's children. The Yidgul Arov B'Kerev Haaretz. Amala, they should be like dagim. The Yidgul, like dak. That the children should be like fish. That they're going to be B'Kerev Haaretz. They're living in this world, but they should be like fish with no ayin hara against them. And therefore maybe perhaps same way that fish are fruitful and multiply, they have the ability to help others be fruitful and multiply. That's how Hashem made it. And everyone should be zocher. Hashem should bless everyone with multiply, both in the physical with children, spiritual with slow the maasim tovim.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom. Morris,
Nothing
sorry,
like the Zoom.
nothing
Nothing like the Zoom.
forgive me for keeping you late.
I came for that.
You heard
I
the
just
beautiful
came for
stuff,
that.
right? You always like this practical stuff, right?
So where you live?
Morris,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Sunday will be on. You'll be back Wednesday. You don't know.
My brother and my sister, the same.
30.
Nice.
So my
Have a great day, everybody. Whoever's on, if anyone's on.
And